so they're better.
Hello, welcome. Thank you all
Hello.
for coming today. How are you guys?
We not supposed. Okay, yeah. Hi, I am good. How are you? So
I will suffice.
I am chalant, not nonchalant. I'm not. I'm just chalant.
nonchalant,
So
I think is the term. Yeah. So
Copacetic.
today,
mhm.
as the title will say, we will be talking about media censorship,
Okay.
and just how media has been radicalized and changed throughout the years.
Yes, we can go back to when it used to be CDs, when we used to be able to get everything in CDs. I remember those times.
Back in the
Unless you
day.
guys are too young for that.
Nope.
Wow. I'm
I had lots of
I'm
DVDs.
pretty
I have lots of DVDs.
yeah, pretty sure I'm the same age as you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're just a bit older. I'm not sure yet, but yeah.
Exactly. Like I said, the gray hairs. Every episode where I have to just you have to pay
Just
attention
trim
to the
it
gray
out.
hairs.
Yeah,
It's
you
going
should get
grayer,
you.
as you can see, like clearly, and I am clearly getting a lot older. Like, you can tell the beard
Yes.
and
That's not
everything.
grey,
Just
that's
the old man.
blonde.
Exactly. Wait, you're blonde now?
No, it's just blonde.
Like a streak.
Ah,
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
nice.
Okay, yeah.
But
So I think we can start off with how media itself works before we get into the whole censorship part. So initially we had an entire thing where media could only really be attained in certain ways. You know,
mm,
your
Mm.
newspapers, your radios, your broadcasting stuff to wherever and whatever, and having that
Mm.
be the main form of communication, how we would inform the masses, getting the message like a week later, sometimes with newspapers, and it
Mm.
being highly edited either by the government, by the radio execs, by the newspaper editors, and that message constantly being filtered out throughout the ages. And yeah,
those were the good old days.
yes, public brainwashing was the good old days.
Yes.
I mean, we
Hey,
Yeah.
at
still
least
have
we didn't
public
have
brainwashing. We'll get
brainwashing
into it.
right
Yeah.
in on.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
We're still public brainwashing. It's a lot of it.
Yes. Yes. Now it's just more accessible. We have
Yeah.
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 it's like on our
It's so
TikToks,
much easier to
Instagram.
brainwash us.
Exactly.
Oh my word. I feel like it's harder, honestly, because there's less of the one-way messaging going through. Like,
No,
okay,
it's much easier.
It's
I, I think it's harder.
it's okay. I'll get into it more later, but basically you use social media to get people hooked on it, and then because they're
Hmm.
so hooked on it, you stop thinking as you scroll on your TikTok and whatnot, and so subliminally the messages that the people who you're watching, like you start to think in that manner, and that changes the way that you think just innately.
I completely agree,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
also I think it's not to the extent of the grip that it used to have on the world. Like, for example, you don't get stuff like akin to Queen, where the radios were basically blasting that stuff out for the entire world, sending one whole message, and like constantly everyone is being influenced by that, and that is like a
Oh, it
common
still
factor and
happens.
what I mean, less
Oh,
to a lesser extent because a lot of artists have been diluted. A lot of people have been going more to indie stuff and branch stuff. So that voice has kind of been more scattered rather than centralized like it was before.
True.
And it's kind of why you also won't get something like the Rwandan genocide, where radio and censoring and changing messages and changing perspectives and outlooks through propaganda was used to basically incite a genocide done by normal, everyday, average people. Because I think that's something we forget. Sorry if we got like a bit of a dour subject matter, but during the Rwandan genocide, the correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know the details. I can't remember if it's Tutsis or Hutus who were targeted.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yes, I can't hear you well. Is it me?
Sorry?
I
Your
think
voice
you
is
must
going
get
in and
closer to
out.
your mic, Nas.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, my bad. Let me check my.
It was a genocide against
Now
the
it's better.
Tutsi people.
Okay, cool, lovely. So it was a genocide between the Tutsis and the Hutus, but I can't. I'm sorry if I'm a bit iffy on the details, but I can't remember which is which. And they used radio as a format of spreading propaganda far and wide throughout Rwanda, getting people who were different in some menial way of ancestry or like they looked slightly different because from what I recall, the Tutsis and the Hutus didn't have much differences aside of ancestry. And because of that, I think the Tutsis were targeted, yeah. So the Tutsis were targeted and machete was shipped in through Congo, and this was all done through radio communication. They incited an entire population to commit genocide and ethnic cleansing based on just radio information because everyone in the country at the time was listening to radio. And I think that's an excellent way of censorship and spreading hatred.
But now it's still happening. Let me give. I'm going to go very political. America, for example, there are still people that believe that whatever Donald Trump is doing is actually cleansing. It's something that because we have it on TikTok, we have it. They mostly have it on their what do you call them? On their networks, TV networks, Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
The only like yes, we have people speaking against it that much, but you have to notice that there are still people that think that have the supremacy that saying that America is getting greater. It's still like similar stance. It's now not moved on from being on a radio to now being on TV, on TikTok. Why do you think they're trying very hard to maybe ban the TikTok out of the US?
See,
Or
yes, with regards to that, but I feel like the messages are more distilled and less. Oh no, we can just go through one concentrated channel. It becomes because there's so many other avenues and other channels, they can get to other things, they can get to a more globalized thing. It's less controlled. Yes, the channels are censored and whatnot, but you could always divert and go to something else. Which is why a lot of America nowadays has opened their eyes to several genocides across the world, how the corruption of the US government has been taking place right now, and all of those other things, because they have this freedom to actually go and look at the other forms of media and recognize their own propaganda.
we can go in depth with this
Yeah,
conversation to, to the point where
let's
we
talk
might be.
more about this the censorship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, so our censorship would not be mostly what we were just discussing, but it will be the fun part of it, the movies, the music, how it has. Well, the correct word to use is not censorship; it's piracy.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
wondering about that. Like, this is very different from.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Mm,
so, yeah,
So
with regards to the piracy, like we mentioned earlier, media was very much, I don't know, more open source. So, like, we had radio with the propaganda and whatnot and preaching that. We also had radio with directly relaying what they wanted people to hear, in essence. And that I think also falls hand in hand with censorship in a way, if we bring it back around, because at the end of the day, the media that you would hear, as opposed to now, which is more indie media. You can get your hands on so much other stuff because all of these avenues are available. The media that we would hear in the past would be like, okay, what is on the top 40, what is on the top 100 and stuff like that, and play song number one X amount of times, get that broadcasted into your ears, just everywhere, pushing that forward as an agenda, which also works towards whoever wants, like the radio execs pushing that forward. And yeah, I think in a lot of ways that kind of didn't promote piracy because at the end of the day, people got what they wanted and it was constantly beamed into their skulls, you know?
Yes, but you also have to talk about. Wait, this was in the early 2000. Not a lot of people also had the modes to pirate. They had
Hmm.
other. They had they would go to what is it to any shop and get whatever they need. It doesn't matter if it came out 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago. It would have been easily accessible
Yeah,
through any shop.
yeah.
So it
Because in today's
was.
day and age, we move at a breakneck pace. We can't have that mainstayness of having radio be there because as much as we have radio and whatnot, it's you choose your own music at this point. You have your YouTubes, you have your Spotify's, you have
Oh,
Deezer, whoever uses Deezer, whoever uses Deezer. I don't know anyone that uses Deezer, um, and you basically use that to, you know, listen to what you want to. No one can decide what you listen to in terms of radio.
true. In terms of
Yeah.
radio,
Nowadays, there are things that are radio music, but most people, I've read that most people actually don't even listen to, they don't even know what's popular. I, for example, don't know a lot of the music as it comes out because because there's the hyper specialized, you can just listen to the catalogs of people that you know that you like that taste. Our taste is actually just become so hyper specialized that we can't really there isn't a unified, oh, everyone knows this song
Exactly.
nowadays as a result. Back in
Yeah,
the day,
which does result
people
in.
yeah,
So go on. Sorry.
rock and everything. Yeah, people know a bit of rock. People know a bit of the popular pop music. Well, pop music would be a bit of every single genre nowadays.
Yeah.
There isn't really there's pop music and there's hyper specialized music to your taste.
Yeah, so like at the end of the day, music of itself has become less of a movement and more of a thing. No genres, no nothing like that anymore. Because what we had music be a movement of XYZ, carrying so much tradition, carrying so much stuff, because we had different genres that would emphasize all of this and they would have meaning. But because everything has become so saturated so fast and it becomes okay, cool, a song pops into your head, you remember it for a bit and then next song comes on and you just focus on the next one, the next one, the next one, and consuming that. And we kind of just reach a point where retaining that information, that culture, that heritage, that movement, and that message just becomes a lot harder, which also falls into like the lines of propaganda. You can't push a propaganda message unless one, it's incredibly catchy, which that is rare, and stays in other people's heads for like at least 6 months to push that agenda, which that's not going to stay in people's heads. Um, or two, it's something that's constantly blaring in them, but you don't have control over what's constantly blaring on them, and you don't have control what they listen to constantly anymore. Because that advent of the radio or the television, where scheduled programming is there, even with regards to the television, back in the day, there used to be like what, one or two different channels, and they were both controlled by the same broadcasting network.
Yeah,
yes.
even now there's very easy access to not just state television, but foreign state television. So
Exactly.
you can nowadays it is easier to well, it's easier if you're willing. The key thing is that the viewer be willing to go and counter find that counterpoints to what they see. A lot of the times the problem is that people don't actually want to see the counter to how they think.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. Because that is also the trouble with this. We kind of put ourselves in an echo chamber because we're not made to listen to anything else or to consume anything else in terms of media. So it just becomes this constant, okay, I'm hearing what I want to hear, and my views are just being pushed back on me again and again and again. Then you find like minded people, mob mentality, and it just reiterates itself until
Yes.
you find someone that doesn't have your viewpoints. And because of that, that ignites a rivalry, that ignites violence, that
Hmm.
ignites aggression.
I have a good example, but I don't know if anyone will like this example.
Go for it.
But it's a very bad example, actually. No, it's a okay. So the example is basically in music, in the music industry. There's this genre called K-pop. With K-pop, we have fans, fan base, love. Now there are so many fans because there are so many groups. I'm gonna give a bad example, but let's say BTS. BTS
Hey.
is one of the biggest boy bands there. But then you see, like, if I say, oh, I don't like BTS, but maybe I like Blackpink, most people will be like, oh no, so that means you are our rival. And I'm like, it's just that, like, I listen to BTS, but what if I like maybe the way that Blackpink makes their music? So now every single time, let's say you have something that is nicer, that is
Mm.
from, let's say, BTS, they'll be like, oh no, Blackpink is better. Or if it's from Blackpink, they'll be like, oh no, BTS is better. When it's in the same thing, just music, it's my opinion. So now, because of that mob mentality, we don't try to learn new things. You don't try to grow your own understanding of things.
Mm.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, so with regards to all of that, you just did remind me of another example of the fact that I'm not sure if it was the BBC or if it was a precursor to the BBC at the time in Britain, right? Like I said, they only had two channels at the time, right? This was in the 1960s, I believe. There were only two channels, and they were both governed strictly by the BBC, strictly by the government. Whatever they wanted to air would air, and they would use that specifically as a tool to show the masses what they wanted, to control them, to make them believe whatever propaganda they needed to make them fall in line. And it also goes within the messaging of what was that one poster that used to be really popular in the 2000s? Keep calm and
Ah,
something something. The
yeah,
original
keep
one
calm.
of that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Very
before it
cool.
became the whole meme and passed around by everyone, it was a form of army recruitment propaganda that was spread around the UK. And that entire thing, that's why there's a little crown on top, because it's supposed to be the royalty is recruiting you to join the army along those lines. It was keep calm and something else, but yeah. So that's initially where it came from. But it kind of lost its meaning over time, and then it became a fun meme for a while, and then because a lot of that brainwashing has become obsolete. A lot of that propaganda being shoved in people's faces has become obsolete, and yeah, that's just how that the cookie
Yeah,
crumbles in some
propaganda.
ways.
Yeah. So
Propaganda.
the original one, yeah, the original one was keep calm and carry on, and it's not 1960, it's 1939.
Oh, thank you. It was
Wow.
1960,
Yeah.
1939.
The
Yes.
last World War was 1939 with Hitler. So yeah. So keep calm and
39 to
carry on.
45.
Yeah,
1945 was, yeah, 1945 was when
it
it
was the
ended.
recruitment.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
39 to
Yeah,
45. Yeah.
1939.
It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was kind of yeah. It propaganda is something that is useful and it could be a tool for good, such as telling use the British during that period telling people, "Hey, go protect your home." But at the same time, on the other end of it is it's being used the exact same way in Germany to tell people, "Let's go invade people." And I suppose it's still used the same way. It's just altered to use social media nowadays. it, I'm fairly sure a lot of channels that get popular so quickly is um, they it's just conspiracy theory, but it's like view botted by governments that are paid for it to get that initial traction and then get people into people's social media feeds. And the way that algorithms do is like as soon as you watch something, it wants to put similar things. If you keep watching the same things on it,
Mm.
that's what creates those echo chambers. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, currently there's a lot of the echo chambers that get made tend to be um, a lot of isms or racism and whatnot that get perpetuated to make people not nice anymore.
not nice. Yes, indeed.
Not
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 nice.
nice.
Oh,
nice. Not
Very
nice.
not nice.
that
Indeed.
is a nice way of just saying people are being not nice. Yes.
Yes, not nice. Just like people trying to unalive each other.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say things, but yeah, let's talk about censorship. The other big thing is the infantilization of language. Language exists as it does, but social media, it the the algorithms pick up when you say certain words, words which are clinical words that
Mhm.
exist for a reason. It's defined under the English language, and if it were in a different language, it'd be defined under that language. And yet, social media wants to censor those words because I don't know, I genuinely don't understand it. Like, why it would even be censored? Like, having to say something like unalive, um, talk about things.
That it's probably something along the lines of how do I put okay, I'm gonna put this in very serious terms right now. There are genocides happening, Congo, Gaza, some parts of China, etc., etc. You all know that. I don't need to highlight that too much because everyone knows and everyone should be aware. Free Palestine. Um,
Mm.
but something that the taking out of unalive does, and substituting that for the words kill, genocide, murder, it takes people's eyes off of that. It stops that word from being in circulation. It stops that negativity of the whole thing coming into play and people realizing, oh, okay, this is the severity of the situation. Because once you take that word and you push it out of the algorithms, the genocides stop becoming irrelevant to people. That stops getting pushed into
Yes.
people's faces. Keywords that are banned of events that need attention, they stop getting attention because of it.
Yeah, so just another tool for control, you're saying?
Yeah, another method of control. Um, Also, we just want to say a message. We are not anti-government. Uh, just that most governments are bad.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, let's talk about the censorship part. Well, let's talk about the piracy. We wanted to talk about what,
yeah.
how is piracy? Why we pirate things?
I think in a lot of ways, piracy does connect to this in the way of, okay, cool. I'm getting what I need to
Mm.
from without any layers, without any. But I'm getting what I need to by my own means. And for a long time, that was what piracy was before the advent of streaming, before the advent of, okay, now I'm going to get subscription-based services and all that other nonsense. Pirating was like, okay, this is one of the only ways to get this. I'm going to use it this way because sometimes DVDs weren't available and you had to get them through extra legal means.
Yes.
And
But mhm.
mhm, but
Now
But
continue.
you go on,
ask,
No, no,
ask
no.
as many questions as you want, please.
ask questions, please.
Oh, there is actually something in
Question
the
Oh yeah,
comment.
everything.
question.
Okay, so I am
Oh,
Taurachi Gondora from Zimbabwe. I'm following and enjoying the program. Are we allowed to ask questions to Nick? Yes, you are
go for
allowed
it.
to
Please,
give
Ask.
a. We are
please.
here.
Yeah.
This is why it's alive. If we wanted to have a whole conversation without people, we would have made it just a video, and that
Mhm.
would have been boring. So feel free to add anything that you want to add.
Ask as many questions as you want. We love the attention. We are very much
Mm.
attention seekers. That's why we're online.
Yeah,
Feel free
that's
to
why we are
push.
on alive. We're attention seekers.
Exactly. We just love the attention. Like the more comments we get, the more attention we get, the more satisfied we feel.
I mean,
Exactly.
yes.
100%. Spread the
The
propaganda
more I
of,
can
of,
sleep.
of the show.
Hmm. Speaking, in light with propaganda is also the reason why. So with piracy, it was
Hmm.
something that was easier to get things, kind of like, and it stopped the whole propaganda of I want, like, what is it? The government, not the government, the media controlling what we couldn't get and what we could get, because if you think about it, piracy existed in the same time where we could still get whatever we wanted at some point. Is it me? Yeah, we could get whatever. Is it me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. We can
What's
hear
up?
you perfectly fine. Your mic is just a bit.
Okay, I
Mm,
think that was I can hear
Not your
you,
mic.
but we could get whatever we wanted. This is not
What's up?
fun.
What's wrong? Do we have technical difficulties?
We are suffering from technical difficulties. We apologize, audience. Feel free to ask more questions.
Yeah, as
Ah,
many
yes.
questions as you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah,
While she's struggling, oh, there she's back.
I love.
Well
Oh,
done.
I
Lovely.
love.
Congratulations. Now we're
Okay,
on
so I
top.
think I was always on the bottom. What do you mean? But I think
Uh
my
huh.
Wi-Fi decided that it doesn't want me to talk about piracy, little bitch. But
That's what Wi-Fi is for. Wi-Fi is meant for piracy. It's fine.
exactly. So I don't understand why it's being such a little not nice word.
Yes, indeed. Not a nice word. Yes. Think of the children. We
Yeah, I
have to
think
censor
it's yes.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Cough, cough.
Now, so now I lost my train of thought because of that. What was I saying?
Ah,
Or if you've already moved on.
you were speaking
Um,
about censorship. We were talking about piracy.
yeah. Why people pirate?
Pirate.
Maybe to find. Oh,
Like,
that's a good.
yes.
Yeah. So piracy. Um,
Mhm.
we're talking about the piracy of digital media. So, well, any kind of media actually, whether that be books or it
Mhm.
could be movies, video games, any sort of media that is then acquired illegally in an illegal manner. So, for example, downloading the new Superman movie and watching that illegally because oh, I don't want to go to the theater, or I don't want to wait to be able to acquire it legally, or because you don't have the means to. That's what piracy is defined as.
Pirate.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Have
Yeah.
getting
you
that
read
music
that?
from instead of going onto Spotify to download the music, basically going to mp3.net. I don't think that still exists. But going to that place to download your music instead of paying Spotify, or who else has music, or YouTube, or any of the big people.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the practice of
Apple Music.
downloading and distributing copyrighted works digitally without permission. So I think
Yes.
in terms of defining it, it's important to take that word copyrighted and the fact that it's being distributed or used without the permission of the author,
Hmm.
Yeah,
copyright holder.
copyrighted. Yeah, and it's been akin to stealing. It's been akin to,
Mm,
robbery, theft, that kind of thing. And within reason, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but also at the same time, I feel like that might be, you know, a bit hasty in certain ways.
mm,
And so long as it's not within a line of like profiting off of it, it's more ethical because we can put it in the terms of what streaming services are doing today in comparison, where a lot of their catalog, which was seen as a boon, which is put out in mass amounts, which is like, okay, I can finally get this information, this media, this movies, these music legally, and I
Yeah.
can get it all streamed to me, I can consume it, I can obtain it legally. It has gotten to a point where they just take it off of the catalog, either for rights reasons, for
Yes.
tax breaks, for all other manner of reasons. Oh, because just they want more money, so they take it off.
mm.
And in a lot of ways,
So,
that has kind of
mm,
stopped the functionality of um, streaming as a whole, which makes piracy more of an option for media preservation now.
okay.
You were saying, Adam?
Follow-up question there: who polices piracy from Moss Capital T? I think who polices the piracy depends from country to country.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, like, who here in South Africa polices it, but a quick Google search says that um, the content piracy can face a fine of up to 2 million rand, or be sentenced to prison for up to 10 years for digital piracy. But the thing is, it's very difficult to police it because, well, pretty much almost everyone does it, in terms of downloading and using it. But the key
Mm.
thing, I think, for how who they um, who gets blamed for it, who gets the punishment, is the distributor, the person who decides to distribute it, and it does. I think it does face an increased punishment, if the goal of that is profit. Um, because the key thing is we're taking away from the copyright, the money that can be made by the
Hmm.
owner of a copyright.
Yeah, but that's just potential money at that point instead of an actual fixed, I'm stealing
Yeah.
wealth from you, which I feel like should not be a proper law in that regard because stealing potential customers is a bit iffy. Stealing an IP and whatnot is different, but at the end of the day, if you're using it for commercial reasons, I can understand. Yes, this should be illegal. But if you're providing it up for free at no charge to yourself, then technically you're not profiting off of the IP at all, which
Mm,
means that in some instances it should not be illegal. But that's obviously a personal take rather
mm.
than fact.
So yeah, it's for government to answer your question. Looks like, yeah, in South Africa, it's subject to the Copyright Act of 1978. I'd have to read through the legislation and find out exactly how it's
Wait.
used.
Hmm.
Psychology of
But
ownership. Yeah, there's another question.
okay, so it says the psychology of ownership tells us the wait, why am I doing this?
Tells us I use the less restrictive opportunity in the case that it's piracy. What do you mean by less restrictive opportunity in this case? Because the psychology of ownership with regards to this is a bit tricky. So can you please give us a bit more?
My understanding on
Mm,
that.
mm,
What okay, if you're talking about let's say ownership in terms of I own a DVD of Tangled, therefore I don't need to worry about what is it? About going to Disney to watch it, then
mm,
that would be okay. But if you're talking in the sense of I pirated it and that's the sole reason I actually have it, then
I think
it's not.
piracy entails ownership as well because in today's day and age, when you get digital media, often it comes with a little tag that says you don't
Yes.
own this legally. You're borrowing it, or you're lending it, or you're renting it, or something along those lines.
You
Where
own the DVD, but you don't own the copyright to the media on the DVD.
exactly, so
Yeah.
they are legally allowed to revoke the media that you have within like all senses of the word. That's why piracy is more ownership than anything else, because technically
Yeah.
you don't have to follow those laws if you take the piracy
Yes.
option. So you own what you pay for, instead of you paying for it to use it for a bit, and then it's essentially taken away
It's
from you.
gone. Yes.
The point where I think it becomes ethical for piracy is the point where physically they take away the ability to view a piece of media or to access a
Yeah,
piece of media.
yeah,
Once
Yes.
once a piece of media, the distribution company decides they aren't going to have any legal way to access it, but you still want to go and watch that movie or still want to read that book, then it becomes, well, you're not giving me a way to access it.
exactly,
I'm going to show you we still
Yes.
want to access it, so give us a legal means to do so.
exactly. So, for those that don't understand that, it's essentially I buy fruit from this vendor, right? And he's been selling me fruit for years. I've been eating the fruit, been loving it, consuming it and everything. One day, I have a bag of apples, let's say, and he decides, okay, no, I don't want to sell apples anymore. All the apples that I have sold, I am taking back now, regardless of if you bought them from me or not. I will not be giving you back your money. I will just be taking my apples back. That's basically what what Adam explained. And piracy is a way of saying, okay, I'm taking those apples. They are my apples. You can't take them back.
I see that you. Mhm.
Yeah.
That is an excellent question. Please define the difference between stealing and taking from authority.
Mm.
In some ways, there is no difference.
There's no difference. Yeah.
Yeah, because like stealing and taking from authority without authority are very similar. Like they're
It's
basically
very,
just synonyms for each other.
yeah.
Like
Yes.
you can it to take something with permission is to take something with authority. And if you do not have that, then it's just stealing. But
Yes. They're
in essence,
stealing.
if
Yeah.
there's no way of doing something legally, something that should rightfully be legal, something that should rightfully be accessible, that has been accessible in the
Mm.
past and that may be accessible in the future, unknown, then shouldn't that be an easier option? The path of less resistance, if you will. And this doesn't come necessarily with um, this doesn't necessarily come with entertainment media. This comes with like professional media, with books that you may need, because things go out of print, and then the only way of actually accessing it is piracy. The only way of actually accessing this important
Mm.
materials is piracy. Documentaries that may be needed for informational purposes, for education, piracy because they're not shown on streaming services, piracy because they're not broadcasted anywhere else. They're not on YouTube. They're not on anywhere. So piracy's piracy is the only way that we get to recover lost media, and we get to preserve it because there's nowhere else to essentially get it. So we have here the use of the internet has promoted piracy, and there are websites that allow people to freely download the intellectual property like music, videos, books. Are there any ways to reduce this? Should we reduce this? Is the question.
Hmm.
Well, to answer the question, there are ways to reduce it.
Yeah,
The basically through the Copyright Act across whatever the Copyright Act for a specific country, wherever that streaming service or that downloading service is being hosted, if it's illegal in a current country where it's being hosted, um, and they find a particular group or server, whatever, they will go and they would likely through use of their legal ability tell the owner of that site shut it down,
Mhm.
or else you will face fines or imprisonment or whatever. And um, and that's why, for example, Pirate Bay, which is was considered the grandfather of piracy sites, has gone through multiple iterations over the years because they constantly have to change in order to stay up while.
Allegedly, we don't. Uh,
Mm.
allegedly, Adam, we don't know what Pirate Bay is. It's just rumors, you know.
Yeah, so they have to shut it down um, through legal means because they, well, you have
Yeah,
to follow regulation and whatnot. So really, the way that you can, the first way is to just shut it down. The other way is to make it more economically viable for the consumer to gain in a legitimate manner, as opposed to having to resort to piracy. Most people don't actually want to resort to piracy. Um, Netflix, for example, does not actually offer everything that you want to view at one time, especially
yeah,
maybe things that are only available in that aren't available in your country.
Yeah.
Sometimes
precisely.
that one specific show that you want to watch is only available, it isn't available in your region, or you have to have the streaming services to watch all of them. So sometimes that's why people resort to piracy because they can't watch what they want to watch.
Mm,
Mm.
exactly. Where something that should be rightfully allowed, but because of some odd laws of censorship, which we're getting back to again, odd laws of censorship in countries which may not make any sense, which may not, have any particular reason outside of, okay, we're banning this, that, and the other. Because for some time, Winnie the Pooh itself, which is a harmless children's program, was completely banned in China because it had a certain, um, it looked quite like one of the, I think it was the prime minister. There was comparisons between him and Winnie the Pooh.
People were memeing and calling the current ruler of China like Winnie the Pooh, and so as a result, they banned it in China. Yeah,
Yeah. So that was for frivolous reasons. There was no actual proper need to ban it in China. But that happened, and an entire database and catalog was taken off of the system because someone's ego was hurt. And I know it may not seem like much, but Winnie the Pooh is very influential for the raising of children, good values, and just imagination and creativity, right? And a lot of Chinese children were that was taken away from them. That was removed from the entire media sphere.
I would not say it was such a big deal because Chinese children have like really great TV shows that they can also substitute. So they substituted Winnie the Pooh with something else that
I understand
I
that,
would
but
say.
like from the perspective of you're losing a piece of media, not that it's a substitute for it or anything. You're just losing something which is essentially being lost to an entire country. That is available everywhere worldwide because of someone else's ego.
Okay, yeah, if you're putting it that way, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I'm sure Chinese media is um, educational and insightful in whatever ways it needs to be. I I don't have much about that, by the way. I grew up on Winnie the Pooh. That's my thing.
I can
Um.
see.
Oh wow. Yeah. So yeah, that entire sphere of it was removed
Was taken
from that
out, yeah.
thing, which shows how easily censorship can take place. They don't need proper reasoning, they can just remove it, which again, piracy does circumvent. It creates a public platform not governed by the government, not
Mhm.
legislated by any authorities that may have egos or may have issues with it, because there are so many things which aren't available within certain countries because okay no this country is at war with this country, so we're blocking all communications. Like a lot of Chinese media isn't available in America. and vice versa because of their
Yes.
ongoing feud, because their trade disputes and all this other political jargon. And that has essentially trickled down
I
towards
would
the consumer. Go on.
I would I would also just give like an example of in the past year, a lot of websites have just either disappeared because I think many countries have decided that if you want to watch something or if you want to get information on anything, you have to find it in the legal sites. And with that, I'm kind of mad that I lost a lot of websites due to someone's first people's greed towards the website and sharing them too much, and second being the fact that what you just said, someone's ego, someone's greed discussing this. And I'm frozen.
Mm. No, you're good. I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, it also leads back to, as much as piracy is something that we have to look out for, it's it's a good that is needed. Is it a good thing? Sometimes no, but it is needed for the society because, like, as much as I would love to find everything on Netflix, there's a high chance that I won't be able to do that a lot because a lot of
Yeah,
things are being taken out, a lot of things. And once they're taken out, we can't find them anywhere else other than the pirate websites.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a tool for the consumer to tell the producer, allow us access to it. It's a tool for, it's a tool of protest, where with the increase in prices of streaming service and the way that streaming services are trying to, I'm going to use Japanese animation as an example. There's quite a few, um, there's quite a few companies in the West who they get the rights specifically to a show. For example, Netflix got the rights to the show Dungeon Meshi, and you can only watch that show through Netflix legally, as a Western viewer. Um, where and or for other shows as well, they're only viewable legally through specific services. So if you want to watch multiple ones of this anime in a season, you have to have two or three licenses. Whereas in the past, you get a television package, and all of those shows that you want to watch are put together. Actually, even when you talk about television nowadays, DSTV here, I'm going to use rugby as that example. But rugby is only available through a pretty premium package. As a result, you have to pay extra money to watch the package where you just have access to rugby. If you can't pick and choose through DSTV, oh, I want this channel, and this channel. They, the base package doesn't have access to what most people actually want to view. And as a result, a lot of people are turning to illegal means of viewing it because the legal distributor physically isn't giving people the means to view what they want,
Mm.
When they want it.
when they want it, how they want it. So
Which
I
was the
think
initial promise
piracy,
of streaming services as a whole. Exactly.
yeah, piracy is illegal for a reason. It is not morally correct. But the thing is, um, it's a way to tell the producer that they're also not morally correct for a way that they're distributing their product. Yeah. But also the digital landscape is still fairly new.
Yeah,
It's 20 years
100% agree.
old at the most. The internet is still new, and and so there isn't enough legislation, or also there's not enough competent legislators across the world who understand the digital sphere the way that the youth do, in order to
Hmm.
create the legislation for that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. because like the internet is very much a, how do I put this, a lawless place, you know. So we can't really, because jurisdiction doesn't really extend the way it does within countries' borders. So it's also difficult to govern that. And having workarounds and discussing what is and what isn't that within the parts of globalization is very difficult in that regard. So with regards to piracy, for example, you can have a Taiwanese website run by a Malaysian guy off of an American server. And where does that fall in terms of jurisdiction? You know? So that's why it's also very hard to mitigate that within those realms. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add, or if the comment section would like to add some more questions for us, because we have a bit of time left, and questions would be lovely, honestly.
Okay, my Wi-Fi is back.
Adam, you're muted, by the way.
Now, do
I'd
you
like to
think
answer some
as a
questions.
okay?
You want to ask some questions?
No, I'd love to answer questions
Likewise.
if there's
Like these are
questions.
these really interesting questions. Like, yeah.
I think
So
the
I
questions are very
actually
important.
yes,
Yeah,
I
please.
actually do have a question. I don't know if it will be intelligent enough for you guys,
Oh
but
wow.
the question is: do you think because of how piracy is basically something that everybody does in the long run, do you think that streaming is actually like having a downfall?
Yes, I think streaming is having a downfall, and as I was getting with, I think it's partially on the fault of the streaming services. I
Yeah.
think because the problem is that a lot of things are too based off of chasing the profit margin instead of thinking about how to sustainably have a, a profit over a course of 10 years. Instead, a lot of companies are thinking about
Mm.
how do we make profit now. I
Mm.
think that the way to go in terms of a streaming service um, being effective is that content shouldn't be licensed out just to one site, except maybe if, for example, Netflix has the originals that they fund, or if a service funds the a piece of content, then it should be their content because they own it. But otherwise, something that isn't part of it should be open source, or not open source. They should still need to pay a license to show it, but it shouldn't be an exclusive license. Um, and the server should focus on um, having good UI, having a good user interface, looking good, having good streaming quality, that sort of thing. The
Mm.
it shouldn't be about um, access to it. I think that if streaming services focused more on the quality of enjoyment of of shows instead of exclusivity, I think that would alleviate the need for piracy.
100%.
I can actually give a great example. So there's this show called The Chosen. It's basically a retelling of the of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The Bible story, the New Testament, but just Jesus' story. And if you want to watch it, it's easily available to you on their website. So it's free. You don't pay for it whenever you go on the website, and the only time that you might actually do pay for it is if you want to watch it on Amazon, because I think Amazon has all the seasons now, or yeah, only on Amazon, or sometimes Netflix. I think Netflix has two seasons. But if you really want to watch it and you don't have those streaming services, their website is actually very free, and It's really fun.
Yeah, that is honestly one of the ways to do things because things are just buried everywhere now, and just you can't really access a lot of them. I I remember I was talking to my cousin about a very popular show, which is like very much a thing here and everywhere else. And it was a niche show that like young adults and children like watched at Adventure Time. Obviously, the two of you know about it, but just for the audience.
Mm.
So, it was an animated show, lovely show, very very beloved by most people who watch it. And I was talking to my cousin overseas, and she was like, "Oh, they only have seasons 1, 3, 4, and 7." And I was so confused by that because what this is owned by one studio. Why is this the rights aren't entangled with any other studio outside of this one? Why is it that over at UAE everything is so muddled up between different streaming services? Why do different streaming services have different rights over this? That made no sense to me whatsoever.
I also think it's because when the director of the show that sells it, they see how much they're getting paid per season per streaming service. If they're getting paid more, let's say qua Netflix, then they're going to side with Netflix more than they're going to side with Amazon. So
Yeah,
it just depends on how much they want to make.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I think that we need more questions
Yeah,
from the
I,
audience
I
if
think we've
anyone
kind
has
of
any
made
more
our
questions.
points when it comes to
Yeah, we've
the
said what
entirety
we
of our
want to say.
topic. Yeah. So everyone else just feel free to ask the audience, go nuts when it comes to engaging with us and letting stuff out. And yeah,
But yeah, overall, I can also add that, and my train of thought is gone. Now within the what is it? Within the media ecosystem, which which website should we use to pirate? That is funny.
Did someone else that?
um, did someone else that?
Yes, on my
Okay,
contacts.
we are not
So,
going to be Knox. We are not going to be Knox. We will not report those websites at all. Thank you very much. Um, if they want to know, then we are not going to do it on a live stream to the
And
rest of the world.
obviously,
Yeah, so they
no.
can ask that
Maybe
privately.
after the live. Yes. And
Okay.
hmm.
are there any ways to reduce this? There isn't a way to reduce piracy, from what I
Yeah,
can
we
No,
think
there
of.
is.
we've spoken about
There is a
the
way.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The ways to reduce
Oh,
it is for the better access. So the thing is, I'm gonna say there's two types of piracy: the piracy for old things and the piracy for new things. Um, a lot of old things there's physically no actual access. Um, a lot of old films, very old films. I'm talking like as early as 1920, um, or other forms of media, even up going up to 1980s. A lot of that does they lack preservation. The owner of the copyright has not preserved the media because it wasn't profitable, and so certain things, or it stopped being as popular, and as a result that hasn't been preserved. Then there's the new piracy, um, things like watching movies before they come out, and that kind of thing. That is the problem. um, the the use for piracy as a useful tool is when there is no access. Piracy is bad when you're using it to just because you're lazy and you don't want to um, pay a fee or whatnot.
Mm.
But when the distributor doesn't make it easy to actually access a piece of work, piece of fiction, that's a problem. Also, have you seen the fees for textbooks for university and whatnot?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Ridiculous.
My
Ridiculous.
university actually sends us links to the textbooks they want us to use instead of having us pay because it's such big fees. Those all those books are also available in our library at uni, so it's not like it's that big
Yeah.
a problem for us.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, we want to thank everyone for joining us on our little journey of talking about um,
Thank you very
media
much.
preservation, censorship, piracy, the goods and the bads of everything, and just all of those delightful and tricky topics on how to just curb everything and how to handle that, and whether piracy is good. It's not. It's a tricky thing. If you want to do it,
it's
that's
just
up to you. That's up to you. We are not going to decide for you. But thank you for joining us. And I want to say thank you to my co-stars, Ru and Adam, for being amazing co-stars and helping us discuss this topic. Thank you, guys.
cool. Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure to be on this panel today, and I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you in the next one.
You
Thank
better
you.
enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Toot-toot-toot.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. So